What is going on, Sports Wars? We're here and we are live on this Sunday with Beardo and John Matrix from Black and White Sports. Fear the Beardo. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. We watched WWE Elimination Chamber last night over on Geeks and Gamers Locals. That was a good time, man. I mean, I was never really a big wrestling guy or, WWE, but when
so you have
just
no idea what the ramifications of John Cena turning heel actually mean?
that it wasn't as important to me as it was, Jeremy and Mike. But other than that, I mean, like, I'm starting to get into it a little bit. If you just turn your brain off, which isn't hard for me to do, I can find some enjoyment in it, I guess. I like the chick fights a lot more. They sell it better than the guys do. But yeah, John Cena last night, turning heel and him and The Rock and Travis Scott fucking up Cody Rhodes last night and cutting him up and he was bleeding everywhere. That was cool, I guess, for people who have been invested into, the WWE for, all their life. But yeah, we did that last night and I just seen that UFC 313 is this next weekend. So Alex Pereira will be fighting next weekend. So I'm looking forward to that too. Plus spring training baseball is always great.
Bro, it feels like I think the Cubs still have not lost a game. Just for the records, obviously they're going to win the World Series this year. They're like 7-0 in spring training, which obviously that always bodes well. But yeah, Alex Pereira, it feels like he fights every 3 months.
He's a different breed, man.
It's not like he's taking any damage, so you might as well.
Yep.
I'm sure it's not actually that often, but God, it feels like he fights a lot. Especially in comparison to a lot of the other big names in the sport. And right now, Pereira is on top of his fucking game, just dominating everybody.
Yep. The Cubs are 8-0 this spring training.
Have you guys noticed this, that Major League Baseball now is turning into like a 9-month sport? Because the World Series was just, November? And now
now there's been pushed back out of the end of October and into early November. Yeah. And spring training starts up in February, man.
That's, man, no offseason really unless you want to win.
That's why they pay them
being a Major League
more than any sport. That's why they make the most money.
Yeah, exactly.
They make an insane a lot of money.
Give me that in a heartbeat. Now, I don't know if I'd want to do sit down and single A or double A for years and years and years and years and years, be one of those guys. That seems like a brutal life because you're not really making any money.
No.
And it's a brutal schedule.
Well, the good thing is baseball is not as physically demanding as football and basketball, where you're just running up and down all the time.
Well, it depends on certain positions. If you're playing shortstop, third, and second, if you're playing middle infield, you're fucking hustling, and center field, you're always fucking hustling every play.
Yeah, but for the most part, when your team is batting, you're on the bench.
Yeah.
You may bat
you got
4 times a game, yeah.
Imagine playing catcher for 20 years in the league.
I know.
Oh, dude. Knees are fucking shot.
Yeah, my knees, when I squat down momentarily to get down to do something or to pick something up, I'm like, God, this would suck.
Yeah.
You just sit here for 3 hours a game, plus all the practice you're doing, whatever. Fuck that, man.
I played catcher in Little League and I got hit in the balls, but I was wearing a cup, so it didn't hurt. I got hit in the hand.
Bro, even when you're wearing a cup, it's still residual, right? It's not like it doesn't hurt. It just your ball doesn't get crushed, but you still feel some impact.
Yeah.
So, I remember one fucking game. We were traveling for something, so we were playing in another place, and I forgot my cup, and obviously I couldn't go to home. I thought I lost a testicle. I was at third base, caught a hot one, it kind of ran up the heel of my glove and hit me. I thought I was dying.
Oh,
I got hit directly in the chest playing shortstop, line drive. Just hit me right in the chest, boom, and then the ball just fell in my glove, so it was an out. But
you could have got DeMar Hamlin right there.
That shit fucking hurt.
My scariest baseball moment was when I was playing adult league after high school, and I was pitching, and I got the ball hit right back to me, right towards my face, and all I did was just last second stick my glove up to protect my face, and I fucking caught it, and I didn't even know I caught it, and everyone starts cheering, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? And then all of a sudden I look at my glove, and the ball's there, dude. I was fucking this going back to the dugout.
Yeah. But when I was in the military, I was living in Virginia at the time, and me and another good buddy, we love baseball. We were like desperately trying to get people to go out there, get enough people like go out there and play a little bit. And so one off day, everybody in our shift, we're like, all right, we're going to do this. We got like 10 or 11 people out there. Half of them had no fucking idea what they were doing. Right. But this one kid, we stuck him in right field, and, somebody it wasn't like a screamer or anything. It wasn't exactly a fly ball, in between a fly and a liner. And it was out there to right field, and this dude's charging up for it. Ball completely misses his glove. Hits him square in the middle of his fucking forehead. You just hear the knock, and you could see the laces were like on his fucking head. I thought he was dead for a second. But one of the funniest things I've ever seen after we knew he wasn't dead.
When I was in my A school in the Navy, they always had a tradition. I don't know if it was like that at your A school, where the teachers would play the students in softball, and the teachers were undefeated. These motherfuckers practice all the time. Yeah. We got no practice. We just went out there and got the shit kicked out of us, man. It was bad.
Yeah. That's a time-honored tradition right there. We did a little bit of that as well.
Yeah. For one thing, a lot of people may not know this, but when you're on teaching duty in the Navy, you got a lot of downtime.
It depends on what you're doing, but sometimes yes.
Yeah.
It depends on
some people go to school, some people deliver pizza, some people play sports.
Yep. So it depends where you're at, but for sure you got a lot more time than you would normally have, than a student especially has in their free time. But A Money Wilson, give me the sports and give it to me raw. What's up, A Money Wilson?
41 months, dude. That's
a long time. Mick Walsh, remember, for 49. Trump putting Junkie in his place was glorious. Is that a Ukraine flag?
Zelensky, yeah.
It is a Ukraine flag. Sometimes it doesn't show up in the StreamYard side here, so I have to actually go to the thing. Mm-hmm. But thank you. Blue-Eyed Scorpio for 199. Alex has 3 fights per year the past 3 years. Yeah, so every 4 months. I was pretty close with my every 3 months. Yeah, that dude's grinding away. Combatics MMA, you filthy casuals. Enjoy Alex Pereira while you can. I mean, that's the game, man. You've got these guys who look like, oh, man, this might be the best to ever do it at his weight class. And this might be, and they've got like this 2-year window. Look at how we felt about Israel Adesanya a couple years ago, what he was doing. And then, boom, it's kind of done. It's over. But that's the way it is. That's the way it is when it comes to MMA. But speaking of Trump, we should talk about Trump because Trump has something to say. He's not very happy with Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball, and especially Commissioner Rod Manfred, have been heavily criticized over the past several years for a variety of issues, including the treatment of Pete Rose, who passed away recently last year. Of course, never seen the Hall of Fame. We know he had that lifetime ban. We know he's not allowed to be elected to the Hall of Fame. Well, Donald Trump at least is trying to do something for Pete Rose. Donald Trump says he will posthumously pardon the baseball legend Pete Rose. Rose, who died last year at 83, was banned from baseball for life. He admitted in 2004 he had bet on games, though never against his own team. And Trump put out a big statement, kind of shitting all over the MLB. Major League Baseball didn't have the courage or decency to put the late, great Pete Rose, also known as Charlie Hustle, into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Now he's dead. He'll never experience the thrill of being selected, even though he's a far better player than most of those who made it, and can only be named posthumously. Posthumously. I don't know why I can't say that word today. Posthumously. What a shame. Anyway, over the next few weeks, I will be signing a complete pardon of Pete Rose, who shouldn't have been gambling on baseball, but he only bet on his team winning. He never bet against himself or the other team. He had the most hits by far in history and won more games than anyone in sports history. Baseball, which is dying all over the place, should get off its fat, lazy ass and elect Pete Rose, even though it's far too late, into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Now, Beardo,
Yeah.
It felt like you played a role because you talked about Pete Rose. You were talking about Pete Rose, how he belongs in the Hall of Fame, like randomly on a day where there was no business it being in the news. And within 24 hours, unfortunately, Pete Rose had passed away. Do you agree with Trump that Pete Rose deserves to be in the Hall of Fame?
Absolutely. I agree that Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. And what it was is we were on this show and Jeremy just happened to show up, one of his, few and far between showings. And we just started randomly talking about, some of the best baseball players of all time. And nobody brought up Pete Rose. And I'm like, how are we not putting Pete Rose in this conversation of the greatest baseball player of all time? And I fought hard for Pete Rose. He's
got to be like top 10.
Pete Rose is top 3 baseball players of all time. If not number 1, he's top 3. I fought hard for it.
It's a shame that he's not in there.
Yeah.
Look, we have this conversation every time the vote comes up about guys who are linked to PEDs and performance enhancing drugs and all of this stuff. And I can understand the arguments from people about specific players who were either admitted to or obviously have long time been suspected of steroids. Everybody's got a different opinion on that. But when it comes to a guy like Pete Rose, who never had anything like that, it was only betting on his own team to win. And that's the reason he's not in. It just seems like absolute bullshit. What do you think?
I mean, they even have some of the steroid guys in. They put in David Ortiz. David Ortiz was in the Mitchell report, and he got in. First ballot.
Yeah. And it especially now with all of the partnerships, and I have no problem with sports gambling at all.
Everywhere now.
I have no problem with it at all. I have no problem with daily fantasy stuff. Obviously, you guys probably know that. But with all of the now sponsorships and partnerships that these leagues have with sports betting, the fact that Pete Rose is not in because of the sports betting stuff. And I get it. He broke the rules. He absolutely did. He should not have been doing what he did. But for him to not be in the Hall of Fame is just, it's fucking tragic. And you brought this up, John, before we went live, but Trump coming out and saying this in such a powerful way and shitting all over Rob Manfred looks like it already may have moved Manfred a little bit. Manfred considering petition to have Rose posthumously removed from ineligible list, according to an AP source. This came out like 12 hours after Trump put out his statement.
Yep.
So
it might already be having an effect.
Good. And like you said, Ryan, with all these leagues having advertisement deals and TV deals with all of these, different, gambling books and betting books and stuff. And it's like, and when you have the whole Shohei Ohtani situation where that was kind of just swept under the rug in just a few months and there was really no questioning Ohtani because his translator took the fall for him, and we didn't really look into like how much involvement Ohtani had in this, and we just kind of moved on and forgot about it because he's the best player in baseball right now. And Rob Manfred and the MLB, they don't want to ban their best player who's probably raking in most of the merchandise sales for the MLB. When that happens, you immediately need to look at the Pete Rose situation, and you need to not clear his name, but you need to unban him and put him in the fucking Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it needs to happen. And obviously Donald Trump has no control over that. Donald Trump can't, like, him pardoning him, it has nothing to do with anything that he was actually out of baseball for. I think that was it was the tax evasion stuff, right, John?
Yeah. Like, he was signing autographs and not reporting income from signing autographs. That's what it was. So he did 5 months
that was back in the
prison,
90s or something, right?
In 1990. Yeah. I can't believe he went to prison for that. That they considered that a felony. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, we'll see if anything happens, regardless of what you think about the man as a human being, as a person, and morality-wise, whatever. It's not the Hall of Saints, the Hall of Angels, the Hall of Morality. It's the Hall of fucking Fame. And Pete Rose absolutely deserves to be in there.
Yep. So does Bonds and Clemens. Put them in too.
I personally agree. I do think it's different though.
Yeah, it is different.
I think that steroid guys, when you look at stuff like that, I do think you're talking about something different. You're talking about a guy betting on games, and from nothing we've ever seen, no proof, nothing that he ever tried to throw games or anything like that. Right.
Now the betting was when he was a manager, right?
I think there was some as a player and some as a manager.
Player. I know a lot of it was
as a player manager, because he was a player manager too.
Yeah. Now if you can show that, if they had any proof that he was specifically, shaving runs or throwing games or anything like that, that's a different story, I think, than what we know about Pete Rose and what has been revealed about Pete Rose. In the same way, I think that PEDs are a little bit different deal. I think that all those guys should be in, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We're moving in the right direction, though.
I did see Farquad Schmugel say, yet because the voters are young and or just didn't like Rose, they won't vote for him. I don't think
that's
young
the bigger
voters
problem
are a problem.
Right there. The problem is the writers vote on this and not Rob Manfred. Manfred just has the power to say, all right, he's eligible now, but it's still going to be up to the writers. And boy, those guys, it's going to be tough for him to still get in.
I don't think it's young writers that are a problem. I think it's the old ones.
The old ones
I think it's the old ones who are all still about the like the old school part of the game.
Yeah.
And that, like, the old guys are the reason that the steroid guys don't get in.
Right. They want to act like, oh, baseball's a gentleman's sport. There's been cheating in baseball forever.
I just asked the Astros, right?
Yeah, the Astros, the Yankees, the Red Sox. I mean, football teams, NFL, all these teams cheat. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Well, speaking of steroid era, it's been awesome to see Sammy Sosa back with the Cubs organization. They had a very bitter parting of the ways, and only recently is that kind of closed. And basically, they wanted Sammy to apologize in a way just for all the stuff that went down. He did that. They brought him back for CubsCon, and now he's like hanging out during spring training. It's fucking awesome, man.
You mean tell me he remember how to speak English now? Remember, he didn't know how to speak English when he was talking about steroids.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, man. I was like,
had a loss of language. Yes. God, it was retarded.
Yeah, that was a bad look for him.
It was. Chiefs slinging beef. I took a line drive to the dome at second base in Little League.
Bam.
Ouch.
Explains a lot about you, Chiefs slinging beef. Glad you're okay. Matt Stranger, my Flyers beat the league-leading Jets last night. I'm in a great mood today. Love to you, gentlemen, in the chat.
Hail, Matt Stranger.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it, man. T Fresk for $5. Have you guys watched bare knuckle fighting on Fubo.tv? These guys that fight seems to just get out of prison. I highly suggest to watch it. I've only seen a handful of like clips of those matches.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what Paige Van Zant is doing now?
She was doing it for a little bit.
OnlyFans. Now she's doing Power Slap.
Yeah, she's doing Power Slap now. She was doing bare knuckle boxing for a little bit, but that bare knuckle boxing, man, that shit is fucking savage, dude. Yeah, it is rough.
That shit's fucking brutal. Stephen DeLeon, Beardo is a bandwagoner. You're only supposed to wear your team's hat, not any hat you think looks good. What a loser. Hashtag Bills Mafia. Shout out West Texas.
You're still sending us money.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie, dude. When I used to go to spring training and go to a bunch of games trying to get autographs and stuff like that, bro, I had a lot of hats that I'd fucking wear. Mm-hmm. I'd have my Rockies hat when I went to Rockies spring training. It's a little easier to convince them to come over and sign for you if that's the case.
I never waited in line to get autographs before. I mean, Jay Novacek of the Cowboys was at the mall like down the road from me, and I saw him in there. I didn't even walk over there to try to get an autograph.
It's easier when you're a kid, or if you have a kid and you can like give them your hat and be like, "Hey, go down there, get an autograph." Because the players, they always love signing autographs for the kids. It's a little bit different when you're a grown ass man.
Not all of them love it, but some of them feel more guilted into it by that.
Right.
I remember meeting Ralph Sampson. Well, I didn't necessarily meet him. He was out in Beaumont because he played for the Rockies at the time. And I was like, oh my God, this got to be the tallest human being ever. I was like 6 or 7 years old. And Ralph Sampson was what, like 7'2"? So he was like larger than life to me, literally.
I mean, pretty much all of I have a handful of autographed shit that I've bought, or some that's been given to me very thankfully by some of the people that watch this channel. But 95% of the stuff I have, I got signed personally. And a lot of it's by people that are, kind of irrelevant or don't matter. But I mean, my balls here are all signed. Like I got those in person. Fergie Jenkins, Ryan Sandberg, Trevor Hoffman. That's my Keenan Allen signed football. Jason Tatum signed basketball. I met both of those guys. And a freaking laundry list of other shit that I've got.
I got a Darren Erstad signed Angels hat that I got signed right after they won the World Series in 2002.
One of the coolest guys that I fucking got to sign something was Sean Merriman, linebacker for the Chargers.
Yep.
And I think since Stephen DeLeon's here, for the Bills, I think after he was with the Chargers. I think he was with them for a couple years, maybe. But yeah, Sean Merriman, he was fucking cool, man. He was chill.
Yeah, big Trump guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chris Curran for 2. Giants welcome Aaron as the starting quarterback. LOL.
Yep, that looks like who the Giants are going to target now that Matthew Stafford has agreed to return to the Rams.
Yeah.
Or more so, the Rams, I guess, agreed to have Matt Stafford back.
Yeah, I guess we can kind of get into that. It certainly seemed to everyone like Matthew Stafford was on his way out of LA. Pretty much all the reports said that, Matthew Stafford, it didn't look like he was going to be there, like he was looking for a trade to go somewhere else. You heard teams like Pittsburgh in the mix. You heard some teams like the Giants in the mix, all these things. Well, all those teams that thought they were in the mix, I guess they need a plan B because Matthew Stafford is staying with the Los Angeles Rams. Matthew Stafford agrees to restructure deal to stay with the Rams. And this game is a little bit of a surprise to some people, to be honest. And especially after all of the hubbub that was made about just a few days prior to this announcement about Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford, because the Raiders were also potentially looking to bring Matthew Stafford in. Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford were seen at some ski lodge or something like that talking. And they ended up saying, well, we just happened to both be on vacation at the same time and happened to bump into each other. That's why we were talking. And apparently the Raiders were willing to give $100 million for 2 years of Matthew Stafford.
Whoa.
And it looks like he decided that he wanted to just stay in LA. I don't know. Beardo is somebody who was hoping maybe to get Matthew Stafford on their team. What do you think about him staying in LA?
Well, the original reports of why the Rams were wanting to move on, and I don't know how true this is, but I guess obviously age was a factor, how much they were going to be paying for him, and they were kind of annoyed with his wife's podcast.
That's what
I heard something about
that's
that.
what some people were saying, and man, like some of the stuff on her podcast was crazy. I remember there was this one episode where she was talking about like how in college, because she went to Georgia with Matt Stafford, they've been together for a long time, that at first she didn't even like him and that she was fucking the backup quarterback to make Matt Stafford jealous. And then she wound up, dating Matt Stafford because he was such a simp for her. Like completely fucking embarrassed him, dude.
I don't think stuff like that has any reason why they may have had a problem with it. If you remember, she was extremely vocal during the COVID era about people having to get vaccinated and stuff.
Right.
Like she was extremely vocal during that period of time. Ultimately, I think a lot of this Matthew Stafford, a lot of it happened as soon as they said they were looking to move Cooper Kupp.
Correct. Yep.
Right. And who knows if this was really like Matthew Stafford was pissed that they wanted to move a guy who he loved having on the team. Who knows how much of that was at play? I really don't know if their decision hinged on Kelly Stafford's fucking podcast. I kind of doubt it personally, but obviously she has gone viral a couple times. What do you think, John? You think Matthew Stafford staying with the Rams is the right move?
I honestly thought he was going to be gone. I really did. I mean, how old is Matthew Stafford? He's getting
38.
up there. Ooh, and he had a offer for $100 million for 2 years. Ooh,
Yeah. Well, and think about this too. The Rams were a couple plays away from, I mean, potentially being in the Super Bowl, right?
yeah, they
They
overachieved
lost
this
that
year to me.
close game, the one that went down to the wire in the snow against the Eagles.
Right.
And if that game isn't a huge snowstorm, who knows what the end result may have been. But the Rams started off rough. They had a rough patch to start the season.
Yeah.
I thought Matthew Stafford might get traded mid-season.
Yep.
They stayed together. They stuck together. They brought it back. They made it in the playoffs. They beat the Minnesota Vikings at a neutral site, even though they should have had a home game, and then lost a tough game to the Eagles. So it's not like it's all over for the Rams or anything. They definitely need to rebuild. I think it's the right move for them. I think they're going to be the most competitive. Get maybe 2 more years out of Matthew Stafford, whatever it is, while they still may have this window before Sean McVay says I'm done.
Now I'm just playing devil's advocate here, I guess, or a what if scenario. I think Matt Stafford is going to play with the Rams for the rest of his career, but I want to see what you guys think. Could this be a sign and trade situation where they restructured his deal for him to be more appealing for teams to trade for him?
That could be possible.
I doubt it a little bit, but maybe. You're right, because look, the adjusted contract came after Rams gave Stafford's agent Jimmy Sexton permission to speak to other teams about his value in the market. After discussions with the Raiders and the Giants about contract parameters, Stafford and the Rams were able to come to an agreement on a rework deal. And then they talk into these other things. With Stafford remaining with the Rams, the Giants are investigating all veteran quarterback options, including Aaron Rodgers. The Raiders, meanwhile, are looking into veteran options that include, how funny is this? The Raiders are looking at Russell Wilson and Justin Fields and Sam Darnold, sources said. So who knows? I personally think he'll stay there after this restructured deal. But I suppose you never know. And maybe if they start next season out pretty shitty, who knows what happens. But
listen, I think Rodgers needs to retire. But that being said, I would absolutely take Rodgers on the Giants as a transition quarterback for the next few years.
You would welcome that? You think it's an upgrade over Daniel Jones?
At this point, I don't fucking know. Probably, but not by much.
Yes, it is.
Man.
It's a massive upgrade over Daniel Jones. Like, as much as Rodgers did struggle, and look, a lot of Aaron Rodgers' struggles are predicated on expectation, right?
Yeah.
If
His efficiency is gone.
What's that?
His efficiency is gone. I mean, when you look at his touchdown to interception ratio, wasn't that bad, but he just wasn't efficient anymore.
It's the way that they lost some of those games, and it was the attitude going in. It was the getting a head coach fired. It was bringing in Devontae Adams while you're like 2-4 and smiling and celebrating on the Pat McAfee show. It was all this shit, right?
The one good thing about bringing Rodgers in is he could force to get Brian Daboll fired, which would force the Giants into getting into rebuilding, which I'd be all for. I'd be okay with that. That'd be a positive to bringing Rodgers in to get Daboll fired.
He had 28 touchdowns, 11 picks.
And how many wins did the Jets have last year?
5?
Something like that, yeah.
Rodgers is gonna. I mean, it wasn't his choice. I guess he was like begging to stay with the Jets. From reports, of what it sounded like. He really wanted to stay. Rodgers is going to go from a 5-win New York team to a 3-win New York team. Damn.
Where should he go?
It's a good question.
I mean, now
there's a lot of options.
Yeah, it's the Steelers, the Giants, and the Raiders, really. Those are the teams that need a quarterback. That have, and the most promising would probably be Pittsburgh or the Raiders. Because you don't know what you're going to get with the Raiders right now with Pete Carroll. Hopefully, it's going to be a vast improvement from Antonio Pierce. You already have some talent there. Pittsburgh is average every year. You know, they're going to win about 8 or 9 games every single year, no matter what. The Giants would be the biggest risk, but maybe the highest reward because you have Malik Neighbors, who is probably the best young wide receiver in the league. And just depending on who the Giants draft, Rodgers could have a lot of talent and weapons on offense. But it's still the fucking Giants.
Aaron Glenn. I think he's going to do really well as a head coach. I like him a lot. I like Ben Johnson pick for the Bears much better than Aaron Glenn for the Bears. But I do think the Jets got I think they have a good, solid head coach. It's going to turn the culture around in there. And I think getting Aaron Rodgers out of there is the right thing. I think Aaron Rodgers is a culture killer. I think Aaron Rodgers is a me guy, and I think he's terrible for fucking locker rooms. I've always thought this. Doesn't mean I don't appreciate when he speaks out against the media or something like that, but in terms of him as a leader, I don't fucking want him on my team. I've always thought the dude was a fucking piece of shit. So,
well, his own receivers throw him under the bus every time they leave his team.
Not Devontae. Devontae following around like a puppy dog.
No, besides him.
You can almost guarantee that Devontae is going to go wherever Rodgers signs.
Probably true. We've also got a new location for somebody else. I'm not going to lie. I'm not surprised that Deebo was on the move, but I am a little surprised that Deebo Samuel is only worth a 5th round draft pick.
Yeah.
But apparently that is the case. 49ers dumped Deebo Samuel for 5th round pick in trade. Deebo Samuel, who, man, 3 years ago, it was all about Deebo, man. He was doing everything. They had him lined up in the backfield. He was catching passes, doing all this stuff. And now he's on the move. He's headed to the Washington Commanders to play with Jaden Daniels. And they gave him up for a 5th round pick. The 49ers are saying goodbye to Deebo Samuel and trading the star receiver to the Commanders, according to multiple reports. The Niners are slated to get a 5th round pick back in exchange for Samuel, who requests to be traded away from the team at the end of the season. Ian Rappaport first to report. ESPN insider Adam Schefter was first to report the 49ers return. While the deal has been agreed to, NFL offseason means the trade can't become official until the new league year begins on March 12th. Is this going to work in Washington? Is Deebo Samuel a problem? Is Deebo too injury prone? What's going on with Deebo? And like the 49ers season last year was just a colossal shit show.
Yep.
Between the Christian McCaffrey injury stuff early on, between a handful of other injuries, between other things that can't even be controlled, like, you know, your starting left tackle going through something you would never want anyone to go through, the death of a child, and you know, stuff like that. There was a lot of shit that happened to San Francisco. And what we thought was going to be another great year for them ended up being a colossal disaster.
Yeah.
How big of an impact is this on this team?
I guess we'll have to see. I don't know. I mean, it's a coin flip. It's a coin flip because he could be the difference maker. He can take a lot of attention off of let's say Brian Robinson too, and also Terry McLaurin. And he could be the missing piece. He could be a good decoy guy for some of their other talent on offense. Or it can be an absolute catastrophic fucking failure, and he could, you know, really mess up the dynamic in the locker room. And we've seen, I mean, I didn't really take Deebo to be, you know, that kind of loudmouth kind of, you know, self-centered guy, really, until last year. Last year is when he really started talking, and we started to see his true colors a little bit. The me kind of guy. But he also is very injury prone. So it's a coin flip. Yeah, he's a little bit of a diva. We saw that last year. He turned into Diva Deebo. So
Deebo.
Yep.
He's probably already peaked. He's 29 years old. He had a great season. What year was that? 2021. He's a Pro Bowler.
It feels like 3 years ago.
And ever since then, he's just been. I believe he had like just under 700 yards last year. Yeah, he's injury prone. I don't know. 5th round pick. That probably seems a little low, but I don't know.
That means that the 49ers are trying to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. They want to get the contract off their books and all of that stuff, obviously. What it does mean is, man, that money you gave Brandon Ayuk, who then immediately went out and got injured in like the first game last year, whatever that was, he needs to get back healthy, and they're going to be putting a lot of expectations on Brandon Ayuk. For a long time, it felt like it felt like that three-headed monster of Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and
George Kittle.
And George Kittle. It felt like that was just highlights everywhere. Brock Purdy had that three-headed monster that he could turn to. Well, Deebo's not the monster that he was back then, has been performing not nearly as well, been having a problem with drops, all of this shit. So they definitely need Brandon Ayuk to step back up, but we'll see. It's very low risk, potential high reward for the Washington Commanders to add a weapon, a veteran like Deebo. And they're going to see if he's got anything left in the tank, and maybe a new start, fresh start, energizes him a little bit, loses a little bit of that excess weight, and starts being able to catch a ball again, which is always helpful as a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said Niners got Ricky Pearsall now. That's right. They got Ricky Pearsall, who was fucking shot and still came back before Christian McCaffrey, I think.
Yep.
If I remember. Christian McCaffrey was like... that was like 30 minutes before the fucking game. Maybe it was like a couple hours we heard before that first game of the season. Oh, by the way, Christian McCaffrey's having Achilles tendon issues in both legs.
In both
legs.
Be
playing. We were like,
wow.
What? Like, how the fuck have you guys not been talking about this? Of course, that's so many people's first, second, third overall pick in fantasy. Christian McCaffrey was. It fucked over a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. Mexican Iron Man, Rose belongs in the hall, and Ohtani was definitely gambling.
Agreed.
Little Orphan Funkhauser, who's your favorite play-by-play commentators?
Play-by-play? My favorite's probably Kevin Harlan.
Kevin Harlan's pretty good. I always think Jim Nantz does a really good job in basically every fucking sport he's ever asked to do. You know what I mean? Whether it's March Madness, whether it's football, whether it's the Masters, Jim Nantz is like a pro's pro. Pretty much everything. He's not as exciting as Kevin Harlan, however.
Yeah. All-time John Madden, current day. Man.
Was John Madden play-by-play, or was he color commentator?
He was color commentary.
Yeah, he was a color.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about play-by-play. I need to.
He was a color commentary.
Yeah. Obviously, Al Michaels is a legend, and he always will be. But Kevin Harlan, I think, is the best. He needs to
fucking get out of the booth, though. Al Michaels is trash now, bro.
Yeah, he's way too old.
He's way too old.
He doesn't give a fuck anymore.
Isn't he coming back again to do Thursday Night Football?
As far as I know.
Who?
Al Michaels?
Al Michaels.
Yeah, he'll be doing Thursday Night Football for Amazon still.
I haven't heard anything different. There's like clip of him like had never eaten a vegetable in his life or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty fucking badass, to be honest.
Yeah, that's based.
Don't blame him. I haven't touched a vegetable in forever.
Joe Mann for 5. The Commanders got the king of drops himself, Deebo. I don't know. Maybe he just needs a new system. We'll see, I guess. For some guys, a new place, a fresh start can kind of reinvigorate them and remotivate them and all this shit. For some guys, the opposite. So 5th round's not, like I said, I think it's very low risk, high reward for the Commanders. We'll see. Taker for 5. Utah's NHL team wanted to be called the Yeti, but the U.S. Patent Office blocked it because of the likelihood of confusion with the cooler brand.
What?
The Utah Yeti, or would they be the Salt Lake City Yeti?
That's wild to me. There would absolutely be no confusion. And imagine the the deals that they can make. Utah Yetis, sponsored by Yeti Coolers. The advertisements would be fucking awesome. How do you not strike a deal like that?
Yeah, and it's not like Yetis aren't a real other thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a fucking.
Not that they're real, but
it's a creature.
Right, exactly. That it's not like referenced in other things all the time. Tommy Halter, I don't watch sports anymore. Here's a small token. Thanks, Tommy. Appreciate it. Storm Shadow for 5. Rodgers takes New York Giants out of position to draft Arch. Arch now goes to Dallas. # make America's team great again. Bro, Arch Manning as a Dallas Cowboy, that's a storyline right there.
I'd be fucking crushed.
That's a way better storyline than Arch Manning to the New York Giants.
No way.
Yeah, it would be.
It'd only be a better storyline because people would be fucking pissed. Nobody wants to see a Manning in a Dallas uniform. Nobody. Except for maybe Jones. John. Yeah, Jerry Jones and John Matrix.
What do you think about that? Getting rid of Dak, get that contract off the books, get Arch Manning in there.
Cowboys on the hook for a lot of money, man, with Dak. I don't know. But I do think that the Cowboys need to start finding a replacement for Dak, even though they gave him all that money. Dak is injury prone.
He also is shit prone. Like, you know what I mean?
I think Dak is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, but he's been a good quarterback. He's had some very good seasons, but he's injury prone.
I think that Dak Prescott is a solid quarterback. I don't think that Dak Prescott should be the highest paid quarterback in NFL history.
But
when
like
you look up
I
this
said
list,
before,
when you look at all these other players he's up there with, it's like, I guess.
Yeah, but if you look at all the guys that got paid too, Dak's resume is right up there with them. A lot of these guys don't have success in the playoffs. They're good quarterbacks, and it's just their time. And when it's your time, you're going to get paid. You're going to break records.
Yeah, and I think that giving Dak that much money is a recipe to be mediocre for the extent of that contract.
What do you got, $60 million a year?
Per year.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. But then the Packers go and give Jordan Love that money and all this shit. Yeah. So it is what it is.
Yeah, Jordan Love he had one season, and they gave him all that money.
Burn for 5. Rams and 49ers are the two sides of going all in. Fuck dem picks coin. You better win that Super Bowl or you are screwed. Yeah, it feels like the 49ers window shrunk and is maybe closed. But last time Beardo said that about the Bills, they looked pretty good last year. John Getz, I drafted Big Ben and Luck in fantasy in 2019. In 2019, if that was the year that Andrew Luck retired, I was at Sequan Casino in California for the fantasy football draft party that I had kind of won from this radio thing. It was really cool. It was an awesome event. I'm glad that we were on Pacific time because it basically they brought us out there. We had free food, free drinks, like all this shit. And then they had a couple Fox Sports radio commentary guys go up and like talk about football for like an hour, talk about different positional rankings, stuff like that. In the middle of that, they had just got done with quarterbacks. And then essentially they were going to go over the other position groups. And then we were going to start the draft. In the middle of that is when the Andrew Luck news broke. And it's a good thing it happened then before everybody started drafting. I'll just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there like an O.J. Simpson video of his fantasy football draft when Andrew Luck retired and he had taken him or something?
I think you're right.
I'm almost positive there was.
I think you're right.
Yeah. O.J. sitting there bitching about Andrew Luck retiring in the middle of their draft. NDI. I don't know anything about sports, but I love this show. Well, thanks, NDI. Vin Scully is the GOAT. Vin Scully is an absolute legend.
I have the video.
Yeah, let's see it.
I hope this is the right one that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Andrew Luck, what did I do to you? You could have retired an hour and a half ago before I picked you in my fantasy picks. I mean, what did I do, Vic? I'm in a fan of yours. Why would you do this to me? Come out of retirement. I'm just saying.
I'm the juice, baby. What did I do
ever
to you?
Nothing to me. Ask the Goldman family, I suppose. Eric K. Keith Jackson is the GOAT, followed by Bill King. Mick Walsh, Pat Summerall is the GOAT. Current fave is Nance. I mean, I have a lot of great memories of Pat Summerall from way back.
Pat Summerall was great.
Emilio.
Emilio.
Gifted memberships from our man, Emilio. Thank you very much, Emilio. John Getz for 2. Put Fields in and suck for a year. Get Arch, Tomlin.
Gonna be 2 years.
Maybe.
Is my prediction.
David Cushmore for 5. Did anyone watch WWE Elimination Chamber? John Cena turned heel and joins The Rock at WrestleMania. John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. Beardo watched and reacted to it live on Locals.
Yep. Yes, we did.
50 Shades of Grey for 2. Which name is dumber, Arch Manning or Bronny James?
Bronny James.
Bronny.
Arch is not a good name.
But at least it's like an adult name.
No.
Like it'll turn into an adult name. Bronny James. Like that's a little boy's name.
Is Arch's real name Archibald?
Couldn't tell you.
I think his real name is Archibald. But like Bronny's LeBron. Neither one of them are good though. Good names.
And he's going by Arch, obviously, because his grandfather goes by Archie, you know.
Yeah.
Archibald Charles Manning.
Yeah.
Archibald Charles Manning. There's gonna be a lot of tension on that motherfucker when he comes in. Holy shit.
Dude, this year, Texas put out a hype video for Arch Manning a few days ago. And I'll tell you what, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, for a dude who hasn't played much, it's pretty nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Stranger with 5 gifted memberships. Thank you very much, Matt Stranger. Burn for 5. Got to evangelize for my guy Cade in the Pistons. If you like good, old, ethical, tough in the paint basketball, catch a Pistons game. Look, the Pistons have, loaded up with some young talent over the last couple of years, and they've been shit over the last couple of years, but they're playing hard. They're playing hard. They play hungry. So I concur. Burn. Jose Contreras for $1. No way a Manning goes to the same team. Didn't happen in college. Won't happen in the NFL. What if the Giants want to draft Arch Manning and Archie Manning steps in and refuses and makes them trade him away?
Ain't gonna happen.
That would be revenge, actually, for the Giants. How would history be different if Phillip Rivers had been a New York Giant and Eli Manning had been a San Diego Charger?
Phillip Rivers, there'll probably be more talk about him being in the Hall of Fame, and Eli Manning would just be another draft pick.
Do you think that Phillip Rivers has a better career? Do you think he still wins championship? That would be the thing, right? I'm not saying like swap their careers. I'm saying
it's hard to say you win a championship now, but I believe that Phillip Rivers was a better quarterback than Eli Manning.
I believe so too.
Are we going to say that those 2 Super Bowls that Eli won with the Giants, Phillip Rivers would have won those 2 Super Bowls too?
Like I said, you never know what can happen. So it's kind of hard to just say, he would have definitely won it. You know?
Yeah, it's kind of a dumb argument. It's fun to compare, I guess, but you're never going to fucking know. But no, I don't think Eli Manning would be as successful with San Diego as he was with New York. Now, Phillip Rivers, I don't know. He probably would have been more successful with New York.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah. I think Phillip Rivers is better. He caught a fucking... They caught a lot of bad luck. The Chargers caught a lot of bad luck. Yeah. Phillip Rivers, one tough motherfucker, dude. That dude played a AFC championship game on a torn ACL, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Dude is tough as shit.
But you got to give Archie Manning credit, man. He said, nah, we ain't going to San Diego.
Mm-hmm. They told him beforehand.
That was a great move.
Mm-hmm. They told him beforehand, do not draft Eli because he ain't playing for you. And he didn't put on the hat. Yep. He did not put on the hat.
But speaking of bitch-made individuals, I don't know who's the bitch-made individual we're talking about, but now it's going to be LeBron James. We needed a LeBron James segue. We had to have it. Had to have a LeBron James segue. It seems like LeBron James is constantly under fire right now, but it's usually for a good reason. When he decides to bow out of the All-Star game at the last second, as the All-Star game effectively has the lowest ratings in history, as the NBA has its lowest ratings in history, LeBron James, as the face of the league and a person that people put a lot of blame on for the current status of the league, he's decided to sound off about that and play victim and lie just like he always does. LeBron James sounds off on NBA media in face of the league debate. Shit on everybody. And we'll listen to what he has to say here. And to put this in perspective, this is after LeBron James caught a lot of heat for a variety of reasons about all of the different, perennial all-star teammates he's played with, to what's happened in the league, to how political the league's gotten, to the attitude of sitting out so many games, to pushing his son into the NBA as a PR stunt. All this stuff has come up this year for LeBron. And Anthony Edwards of the Minnesota Timberwolves was asked a question about, hey, what do you think about being the face of the league? He says, I really don't have any interest in being the face of the league. This is LeBron's response here.
But like, I don't know, why do you want to be the face of a league when all the people that that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis on everybody? Have that responsibility. It's just weird. It's weird energy from the people that I don't know. But
so these are shots at the TNT broadcast crew, Charles Barkley, Shaq, guys like this who are critical of LeBron James and the attitude of a lot of current NBA players. So why would you want to be the face of a league when all the people that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis shit on everybody? You know what? If the league was in a better spot, if people were actually watching, if ratings hadn't fallen off of a cliff, maybe people wouldn't be talking as much shit as they currently are. Maybe that's where this is coming from, LeBron, but this perpetual victim bitch. And then he's going to go on to lie, which we have to get to.
Channing, he said it. He said it perfectly. Couldn't say it no better. But Ant said he don't want it. Obviously I didn't ask for it, but I knew there was a responsibility for me, not only to my family, my friends, my community, and whoever that was going to follow my journey throughout my career. Not only in Ohio when I started there, but all over America and all over the world when I traveled all over the world. So.
We got to get back to I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask to be the face of the league.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Are you fucking kidding me? The dude who sat on Sports Illustrated in a fucking throne, who crowned himself King James, who crowned himself the greatest player of all time, who wore Michael Jordan's number when he came into the league, who constantly talked about this shit. You didn't want that? Is that a fucking joke? Even Brian Windhorst, who made his career off reporting on LeBron James and typically is on LeBron James' side in a lot of things, even he called him out for that stuff.
Everybody wants either over here. Nobody wants to operate in the spectrum because it is both. I know it's not as fun to say both because LeBron can both say that I am held to an unfair standard, and yet he chose to wear number 23. Mm-hmm. He said also in this clip, we cut it out just for brevity. He also said, I never asked to be the face of the league.
Lies.
Of course he asked to be the face of the league. He signed a $90 million Nike contract, which he could have signed with Reebok for more money, by the way, but he signed with Nike. Why? Because of Jordan. So yes, it is unfair at times to hold him to that standard, which as you have described is unimpeachable, but he also has invited it. So he is a billionaire because people across the world are attracted to the game. One of the reasons they're attracted to the game is because of the entertainment value that it brings beyond just before the ball going into the basket.
So it's such bullshit. And then LeBron has the audacity to fucking double down on this and sends out a big tweet because he got his feelings hurt because everyone was shitting on him for this. Exactly. Made my point. But anyways, this is like the 12 hours after everyone's shitting on him. Happy this convo has started. It ain't about face of the game. It ain't about one person or one show. It's about the culture of basketball, the most beautiful game in all the world. Our game has never been better.
Wow.
Incredible young stars from all over the world and some older ones. Steph Curry should be all we're talking about today. Let's discuss how great OKC and the Cavs have been this season with two completely different styles and break down why and how they have it. Of course, if players don't perform, we need to discuss that too and break it down. Right? He goes over and over and over. This ain't about me either. At this point, I don't really care what's said about me. It's always something. This is about the impact that negativity is having on our beautiful game and our fans.
Then retire.
Yeah. He should. Remember, this. Tell me, what does LeBron James have tattooed on himself?
A crown?
The chosen one.
Yeah, the chosen one. Yeah.
He named himself that. He named himself the king. But nah, I ain't never want to be the face of the league. That's bullshit. Everybody knows it.
Like, our game has never been better.
It's never been worse.
Yeah. Now, look, I do think there's a lot of young, talented dudes that are fun to watch in the NBA. I do think that's the case. But people aren't watching them. People have tuned out from the NBA. And it's not because the media has been mean to you, LeBron James. The media has sucked your tiny little flaccid dick for 2 fucking decades, which is the reason we are here. And now it's undeniable, even to people in the mainstream media, with the way that you have acted, that you have taken a part in destroying the NBA while you were the face of it. While you were the face of the NBA, we went from 38 million people watching the NBA finals to being lucky if you're cracking 7, 8, 9 million. You went from having 15 million people watching the All-Star game. Gee, you can't even break 5 million. And there's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of problems that have led to this, and it's a culmination of a lot of things. But LeBron James is at the heart of many of those things. Whether it's the idea that all these guys are so buddy-buddy and these rivals teaming up to make championships easier to get and trading this person, trading that person, getting this coach fired, getting this coach fired. A lot of that stems back to LeBron James. The politicization. I can't fucking speak today. What am I trying to say? The politicization of the NBA, right? Making politics so important in sports. You are one of the biggest fucking reasons for that, LeBron James. The BLM bullshit. You are at the forefront of all of that. Cozying up to China, but saying, oh, we have to speak out for this. We have to speak out for that. Players not taking the All-Star game seriously. Players taking extended breaks. You are at the center of things like that. So yeah, LeBron, people are being critical of you because you deserve to be criticized, because you are one of the biggest reasons that the NBA is in worse shape than it's ever been.
Remember, he called Daryl Morey, the GM of the Houston Rockets, and probably one of the smartest people in the NBA, called him uneducated when he was shilling for China and exposed himself for the fraud that he is.
Yeah, fuck LeBron James. Fuck LeBron James. All right, looks like Cam Ward heading to the Giants, says Mike Hill. You don't think so?
It all depends on if we get a veteran or not. I mean, I don't want any of these prospects in the draft right now. I don't want any of them. Cam Ward, if we're going to draft anyone, I want Shedeur Sanders. But I'd much rather have Travis Hunter and sign a veteran.
Sounds like Cam Ward's heading your way.
Yeah, probably.
Fun with collecting. Jordan is still the face of the league always.
He's not the face of this NBA.
You know what's kind of crazy is that more people have Kobe ranked over LeBron in their all-time rankings now than they did like 5 years ago. When you pull current NBA players.
Good.
Jordan obviously is like at 70% when people answer that question. But Kobe is pulling basically equal with LeBron, and that was not the case a couple years ago. And obviously it's because I'm sure people thought that maybe LeBron would add another one or two. He got the one Mickey Mouse ring in Los Angeles that people don't really respect. But God, now he's got Luka. Now he's got one of the top 3 guys in the league that just got traded his way, who is now going to probably fucking try to carry them. And we'll see what happens with that. Honestly, it might be the best thing that ever happened to Luka. I think he's motivated as fuck now after being traded away from Dallas. And it just fucking got to burn even more for Dallas fans that Anthony Davis immediately got injured. Immediately got injured. God, it's fucking rough. Pyromorpheus, remember for a month. LeBron took advantage of his status in the league. He did. Mike has bad knees for two. To whom much is given, much is required. Burn for 5. Young players just want to hoop, don't want to be the face of the league. LeBron most affected. How does this affect LeBron's legacy? It's getting worse every day. I truly think it's getting worse and worse for him every day. Mike Hill for $20. Pat McAfee showed his disgust for Canadians booing the national anthem during the Elimination Chamber last night. Did you watch that part, Beardo?
No, we started after the both national anthems last night, so I didn't get to see that.
I saw people talking about that on Twitter. I haven't watched the clip for myself yet. Have not officially seen that. We do have to talk some Justin Tucker news. We got to talk some Justin Tucker news.
Let's do it.
Because Justin Tucker, after by far the worst season of his career, was hit with some big-time allegations from, I think the number's up to 14, 15, maybe more, massage therapists from the Baltimore area that said he acted inappropriately with them. And obviously this caused a firestorm. The Ravens addressed it. The Ravens general manager addressed it at the combine, said they're concerned about the number of allegations against kicker Justin Tucker. And when you add a lot of the things together, including old social media posts back years and years and years ago of people putting out things about Justin Tucker in massage parlors, it certainly seems like a really strange scenario that they're going through there in Baltimore right now. Well, Justin Tucker decided to speak out. And I think very interestingly, he went to Outkick. He went directly to Outkick, to Bobby Burack, to put his statements out there. Not to ESPN, not to Fox Sports, not any of this stuff, to Outkick. Maybe because he felt like he was going to get a more fair shake there than he would at a lot of these other mainstream sites. But he went to Outkick to put all this information out. Justin Tucker and wife speak out amid more allegations from massage therapists, Outkick exclusive. And they did put out very, long, lengthy, detailed statements. I want to get into Justin Tucker's. The first one is just talking about his time in Baltimore and how he's embraced and supported. It is with all that in mind that the allegations against me are so shocking and heartbreaking. I maintain I did not act inappropriately at any point before, during, or after a professional bodywork treatment session, nor have I ever been told I'm unwelcome at any massage therapy provider. These claims are simply not true. Throughout the last 4 weeks, I spent countless hours replaying every interaction I've had with bodywork professionals. I do like the idea of putting bodywork professionals instead of massage therapists, has a little different connotation behind it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's very intentional. Over the last 13 years, I can assure whoever's reading this, I've never intended to disrespect anyone, cross any boundary, or make anyone feel uncomfortable in any way whatsoever. It devastates me to know that anyone I've worked with would have not felt respected and valued as a professional, but more importantly, as a person. And anyone who's felt otherwise, I'm sorry. I want you to know I'm committed to ensuring everybody I interact with continue to feel like I respect them and care about them as human beings. I began working as a professional athlete. I came to recognize the importance of receiving consistent professional body work by investing my time, resources to restorative body work with licensed therapists at respected places of business during the times where I'm most active. I've experienced considerable health and athletic performance benefits. Physical therapy and massage, large reason why I've been healthy and available during the football season. Both my wife and I continue to count so many of those professionals as our friends. I respect massage therapy profession and more so the individuals I work with as massage therapists. And his wife also put out 2 sentences. The false allegations against Justin have caused so much hurt to our family. I believe my husband and I love and support him fully. Now, along with this, he also gave to Bobby Burack from Outkick, so denying the allegations, denying that he'd ever acted inappropriately. He also put forth some declarations from the owners of one of the spas that's allegedly involved in this. Tony Horwath being duly sworn in. My wife, Marilyn Horwath, and I were owners of and operators of Baltimore Spa and Salon at the Ritz-Carlton, Maryland, from approximately 2012 through 2017. During that time, Justin Tucker was a frequent customer. At no time did we ever receive any complaints from any source about Mr. Tucker's behavior. Based on my conversations with employees, my understanding is Mr. Tucker had an excellent reputation among them as well. One of the other big things was reportedly this is about a membership cancellation from Justin Tucker in 2016 from one of the people who is now involved as an accuser, according to this report. Essentially saying, hey, we're sorry to see you go. Wish you the absolute best. It's been a pleasure working with you the past few years. Congrats on your new home in Texas. And don't forget to tell all your coworkers about us. Apparently, according to Bobby Barack and according to Justin Tucker, this person who's just described as A is now one of the people involved in these things. So this is certainly not all-encompassing with all of the people, but you've got a couple statements from one of the spas from the former owners from 8 years ago who said they'd never heard anything wrong. You have this post. I don't know. What do you guys feel about this? And do you think the Ravens are going to take any action?
I think, obviously, before the NFL, the Ravens do anything, we need to get this figured out legally. It'd be inappropriate for the NFL to do any kind of punishment or for the Ravens to decide if they're going to cut him or not before any, legal process is settled.
I mean, if the Ravens cut him, it'll probably be because he wasn't very good last season. I mean, he was pretty awful as a kicker.
Yeah, but he's been the best kicker for the last 15 years.
I know.
Justin Tucker's arguably the best kicker in NFL history.
Yeah.
And I don't even think you'd have to argue that much. Obviously, last season, not very good, but I still do think he's...
Adam Vinatieri.
Adam Vinatieri is the most clutch kicker we've ever seen in NFL history.
He's talking about from a percentage standpoint.
I'm talking about like just in general, his performance from distance, long field goal, overall percentage, everything.
He's got a bigger leg than Vinatieri did.
He's only able to make some of those kicks because the teams he were on that put him in those positions, right? But I would take Justin Tucker as a kicker on my team well before Adam Vinatieri.
I wouldn't go that far.
No?
I mean, Adam Vinatieri was still great anyway.
Adam Vinatieri was an absolutely great kicker. No doubt about it. And maybe if I wanted one kick in the Super Bowl from 42 yards out, I would pick Adam
Vinatieri easily.
Right. But that's not exactly the question. It's like, who is the best kicker in NFL history? And I think you'd be hard pressed to say it's not Justin Tucker at this point, based on what we've seen him do. But, I agree with you, Beardo, that we should let the process play out before anything happens. But that's not really the NFL's nature necessarily.
No.
Right? It hasn't been, at least. The NFL is going to do their own investigation, and they're going to come back and recommend something, depending on what they find or don't find. I think the NFL is going to be under a lot of pressure because of the similarities between this and the Deshaun Watson bullshit.
They're probably going to put him on the commissioner's exempt list. He'll still get paid while he's sitting on the sideline until they figure everything out. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that.
Maybe. But Justin Tucker, this is the first big time, real full response we've got where they showed any of the receipts they may potentially have. Certainly there's a lot of allegations out there, but this, sheds a little bit of light on one of them from one of these spas, and owners who previously owned the spa 8 years ago said they'd never heard anything wrong about him. I think it's very telling he went to Outkick. I don't think that anybody else would have fucking run with this or tried to do any potential explanation for Justin Tucker. I obviously, with the social media posts we have from 5 years ago about him getting kicked out of spas, those are weird. Those are weird that those exist from 5 years ago. If truly there's nothing going on before anything was out there, before any of these things came forward, before this was a big snowball, to have these random people on social media talking about this 5 fucking years ago. But this is going to be a big problem for Justin Tucker and for the Ravens to figure out what to do. And you mentioned it, John. It would be one thing if Justin Tucker had a similar season to the rest of his career last year, but he didn't. He had the worst season of his life, whether that's because Maybe some other things were on his mind, or maybe he wasn't getting the therapy that he normally got. I don't fucking know. Right? I don't know what the reason could be that he had such a bad year last year, but that may make the Ravens feel like they would be ready to move on from him, which is unfortunate, right? It should just be about this, but there's a lot of other factors involved.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of other factors involved. I didn't look at the chat to see what they were saying.
It was mixed. It was mixed between Vinatieri and Tucker.
Yeah, Vinatieri is great, and he had a very long career.
Oh yeah. Adam Vinatieri is the highest scorer in NFL history of all time.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you know what his career field goal average is?
Vinatieri's?
Like a percentage?
What is it?
Is 83.8%.
Now, did that kind of have an effect? Because remember, he played till he was like 48 or something. How was he the last few years of his career? Like the last 3 years?
So the last couple years, the last year he only, let's see, when he was 47, it looks like he attempted, where am I? He only attempted 25 that year. He made 17 of them for a 68%, but obviously pretty low right there. The last couple years, 85, 85, 87. I'm going back. 92, 97 when he was 42, 87, 78, 85, 92, 77, 80, 79, 89, 80. This 79. Is like in his prime right here.
When did he have 79?
When he was 35 years old.
Really?
With the Colts.
The Colts.
Believe
it or not,
now we're in the New England
years.
Years. Last year, New England, 80%, 94, 73, 90, 80, 81, 78, 79, 86, 77. So Justin Tucker, Adam Vinatieri, incredible career, longevity, stayed in the league for fucking ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But overall,
but I think there's a lot of other factors too that go into it. I mean, if you're kicking from like 50 yards a lot more, it's going to be a lower conversion percentage, than like 20 yards or something. So, but also Vinatieri, we saw it on the biggest stage. That's a huge factor right there. The biggest stage. That's what actually separates Brady from other quarterbacks, is because we saw him do it on the biggest stage in the Super Bowl.
Adam Vinatieri won Brady 2 rings early in Brady's career.
Yeah. He was the final kick.
Yeah, but there's a lot, like, your team has to put you in the position to make, like, you have to be in those spots as a team in order to do that.
Now, if you want to make a case, Ryan,
Justin Tucker has made, let's see, Justin Tucker has made 64. You were talking about the difference kicking over 50 yards, all this stuff. Justin Tucker has made 64 field goals over 50 yards in his career.
How many? 54?
64.
64.
Okay.
64 over 50 yards. You know how many Adam Vinatieri has made?
20.
45.
Okay.
In a career that was twice as long.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
also, we got to remember too,
Justin Tucker is the all-time leader in field goal percentage at 89.1%.
Yeah. And if you guys remember against the Panthers, I think it was the Panthers, Adam Vinatieri actually missed several key field goals. That's the only reason that game even really got down to another field goal. He had missed, I believe, 2 field goals in that Super Bowl.
Before he nailed the game-winning one?
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Look, Robert Ory made some clutch fucking shots, man.
Yeah, can't really compare. I love Robert Ory, though.
Yeah, he's Big Shot Bob. That's basically.
Yep.
Wolfsbane, who's the best playmaker out of Kobe, Bird, and Jordan?
Playmaker. What do you mean by playmaker?
Like, are you talking about creating plays for your teammates? Look,
if that's the case, Bird was a better passer than both Kobe and Jordan.
Yeah.
Just making plays.
Now, all of them, when they focused on it, and that's what they wanted to do, could do it 100%.
Right.
I mean, like there was a period of time, when basically everybody was just saying, all Michael can do is score. He went out there and I think 10 out of 11 games had triple-double.
He worked on his jump shot. Remember, Jordan couldn't shoot his first 7-8 years in the league. And as he got older,
I don't know about 7 or 8 years, John, but his first couple of years, yes.
Well, he started developing that mid-range jumper a lot more when he got to around age 30 plus.
Yeah, but to say he couldn't shoot his first 8 years in the league is insane.
Well, he wasn't a great jump shooter. His first 7-8 years in the league, he wasn't.
No, he started focusing specifically on that turnaround fadeaway as he started to, not have exactly the same athletic explosiveness as he used to have. He started making that more of a focal point. Boswell won a road playoff game with only field goals. True. John Getzfertu played in a dome with Indy, dome kicking easy. You're not wrong about that. Now, obviously, he played in New England for the first, 7, 8, 10 years of his career.
Yeah, something
but
like that.
He played 15 fucking years in a dome.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Justin Tucker's kicking outside.
Remember, for a while there, Mike Vanderjagt had the highest field goal percentage in NFL history.
Hey, for a time, my boy, Robbie Good as Gold. Robbie Gould had it for a while.
Yeah. Vanderjagt was the liquored up kicker, remember?
Yeah, that idiot kicker.
Yeah.
That fucking idiot kicker.
But in
terms of who do I think that we saw the most playmaking consistently from, would probably be Bird, because I think that was a focus of his more so than it was a focus for Kobe or Jordan.
Yeah.
However, to say that's not a part of their game is insane. When Jordan wanted to pass,
Michael could
Kobe
pass.
wanted to pass, they were fucking phenomenal. It just wasn't what they focused on most of the time.
Now, I believe that Kobe was definitely the biggest ball hog out of all three of them, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you. All right, where the hell are we? I think we're caught up over on Rumble. Over here, and I think that's all we've got. Being a Bears fan means only owning punters and kickers jerseys. Not really, but I do not have any current Bears players jerseys.
You have a Cutler jersey? You got you, right?
I think I have a Cutler jersey.
Brandon Marshall?
I've got a Brandon Marshall jersey. I've got a Kyle Orton jersey for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I had a Khalil Mack jersey. Yeah.
Urlacher?
I don't know if I ever had an Urlacher jersey. I got a Lance Briggs jersey, Matt Forte jersey.
Okay.
Yeah. Taker for 5. One of Tucker's accusers said he had a special request called roughing the kicker, where a female would be asked to jump on top of him.
That's a good one.
But yeah, I think that's about it for us. We got almost an hour and a half today. Beardo, what do you got going on, man?
Nothing much. Just going to watch some baseball.
John, what about yourself?
Just going to be relaxing, probably shoot some videos later on. About to go grill a steak.
Hell yeah.
There you go. Sounds good. Well, thank you, chat, for Rumble and YouTube, wherever you're at, for hanging out and watching us. We appreciate it. And we'll be back next week, same time. We'll talk to all you guys later. Bye, everybody.